I'm Gerald Bentley. This is Wrestling with Sales. Today, I'm talking about how do you reach your leads? How do you get a hold of people? Phone calls don't seem to work that well anymore. You may leave 9 voicemails. You may try to call somebody 10, 12 times. You can't get them to answer the phone. Emails, according to research, are only getting opened up 18% of the time now for dealerships. So 82% of the emails you send really go nowhere. Doesn't matter how well they're written, they're just not being seen. I'm talking with Spencer from SimpleTexting. They're looking at making text your number one way to contact customers. Something needs to change, right? We still don't do little newspaper ads. Got to be willing to adapt. That's today's Wrestling with Sales, powered by Montway Auto Transport. You can check out Montway Auto for more ideas on how to move cars from the auction to your lot, from your lot to the customers. We'll get into that a little bit later, but right now, let's talk with Spencer from SimpleTexting, because we talked with each other on LinkedIn, and I think texting is definitely the way to communicate. It's going to be the way that people are interacting more and more. And I wanted you to tell me a little bit about what SimpleTexting can do.
Well, thanks for having me, Gerald.
Sure.
I appreciate it. And, it's funny, SimpleTexting as a company, to give you a little background, started back in 2010. And the original goal was to build a marketing agency and offer a variety of services. Instead, in about 2011, we saw the big mobile boom happen. And we ended up really pivoting and helping people succeed through SMS marketing. So that's how the company came to be. And what we see nowadays is everyone's got the cell phone attached at the hip. It's a device that we're constantly looking and checking. So the hope is that these text messages are going to get a lot better open rate. It's going to get in front of the customers' faces. It's a much quicker way to follow up with them.
Sure.
And we really want to just complement the existing forms of communication that the dealerships are already using, because most of the dealerships we work with, they have a fantastic service model. They're great at working with their customers and clients. And hopefully this is a way for them to touch base, get in contact with these leads quicker, and keep more at top of mind through texting.
Well, yeah, because that really is the battle right now. We're talking about getting into a sales ring, getting into the match, and you can't get into the match if the other person's not even involved. They didn't come out. They didn't even step into the ring. You get the internet lead, you have their phone number, you have their email, but you make 3, 4 phone calls. No answer. You left a couple of voicemails, no response. You sent emails. They never saw it. And most dealership CRMs now are opt-in text. So if you send somebody an opt-in text from your CRM, it has no reference to who you are, why you're sending it. The odds of the person doing that when they're not answering the phone, they're not replying to an email, are probably almost zero. So what I notice in dealerships all around the country, they just don't even bother using that tool. They've given up on the text messaging. They just assume it doesn't work. Now, to be fair to Vin Solutions, to eLead, to DealerCentric, it does work if the person opts in. They use it a lot, but it's hard to get that opt-in. And as an initial contact, no, it really doesn't work. It's a follow-up. What are you seeing with dealerships in using your service? Are they getting a better response rate to the leads? Because I think that's the thing that's really just eating away at dealerships right now. You can generate the leads, but your reply rates have plummeted over the last decade.
Yeah, absolutely. We are seeing, a lot better response and even open rates with texting. I think with email, it's something like a 18% open rate, and text messages, it's a 98% open rate. So right there, you're at least getting eyes on that message. SimpleTexting, we have the best of both worlds. We have the ability to go one-on-one with people. So if a lead does respond, You're able to go back and forth with them. But we also have what we call campaigns, the ability to reach out bulk or mass text. So, you need the opt-in. You need to remain compliant with these text messages. But we have a lot of different avenues and ways to obtain those opt-ins. I could
Yeah, I'd
expand on
like to
that if
know.
you'd like.
Yeah, how do you get the opt-in? Because what I notice is the biggest problem with, like I said, with the dealership text messaging that's already built into the CRMs, the opt-in rates are terrible. What do you
Yeah.
do to get around that? How do you get the opt-in? Because for people who don't realize, and there's some dealerships that have never really done text messaging, if you're just texting from your cell phone to your customers, that is illegal. And if the customer sues you, your dealership, you will lose and lose badly. So, what's the way to get the opt in? How do you get around that?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways. I'm glad we're talking about this because you do have to adhere to the rules, set out by the TCPA. So
Sure.
we give you these tools, the ability to reach people, but by all means, you need to remain compliant while doing so. So one of the first ways that we obtain opt-ins is through the use of keywords. With any and all of our packages, we offer unlimited keywords, and I'm sure you're familiar, but with a keyword you create any custom keyword, and if a customer or a lead texts that keyword into your phone number, they're essentially opting in, and you have an automated response that's going to go back to them. A lot of times those keywords will have a call to action at the end of them, or even create triggers off of those, say yes for more information about this. That's one way to get an opt-in. We recommend creating a keyword at least for the dealership itself, but we've seen dealerships even go as far as create a keyword for each car on the lot. So if somebody sees a model that they're interested in, they're texting in that keyword, they get all the relevant information about that particular make and model, and the conversation can progress from there. So keywords is one way to obtain that. We also have, since a lot of these leads are coming from the internet and online nowadays, we do have a mobile sign-up widget that you can embed on the dealership's website. Essentially, this creates a pop-up with a button that the consumer can click on. That'll open up their native messaging app on their phone and allow them to begin that conversation with the dealership. You can auto-populate that to have a specific something in the body of the text, or they can simply start the conversation how they would like. A couple other ways, just a basic sign up form on the website, with a box at the bottom,
Sure.
essentially checking we're open to receiving text. I think the key when you do that is to set the expectations. You want to let them know how many times per month to expect these text messages. So making sure those expectations are clear and concise up front is a best practice. And really, to complement that, just any sales paperwork that you already have in place, just adding the ability to check a box on that where a customer can opt in, and then updating your signage, your web material, and any advertising with text related calls to action is something we recommend.
Okay, so you really do recommend. I mean, it's kind of a paradigm shift for the dealership. Every
It
interaction you have with the customer, there should be an opt-in to text included, because we're kidding ourselves that the phone call is still the best way to reach people. It just isn't. And I think there's plenty of evidence, because you can go to dealerships everywhere and there's going to be salespeople that are given a list and said, "Hey, call these 100 customers." Well, and right now, with the lack of inventory, you're calling those 100 customers, asking them if they're interested in trading their vehicle into an upgrade, when the vehicle you want to upgrade to may not even be available for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
So it's a bad idea because of your percentage. You're going to burn out your salespeople, have them make 100 phone calls with a 3% answer rate. And then if by chance the 3% answers, you can't sell them a car anyways. So
Mm-hmm.
you're not you're not going to where the targets are. You're just kind of just flailing away and hoping you find something, and then you lose your sales force in the process. But
Yeah.
if you get everybody involved, maybe get every service customer to opt into text, then that builds up a database that you can market to directly from text messaging too, isn't it?
Correct. And instead of casting a wide net per se, we want this to, be focused, be specific. Once these people do opt in, there's the ability to put them into certain texting campaigns, add them to a certain contact list if they're interested in A versus B. So the hope is to get that opt-in and then, personalize all of the messages going to them after that. Maybe they just bought their first vehicle with you. Now we want to follow up a few months with some maintenance tips. We want to follow up the next year with some other related information. So get that opt-in, very important, but also we have the ability to make these texts very personal and targeted.
Well, and targeted in a way that could relate to direct income to the dealership. Let's say, and there's plenty of recalls out there right now. I think there was just a recall for, I believe it was 250,000 Fords that were just sold in the last few years. You're at a Ford dealership. If you had all of your service customers opted in, you could actually build a campaign to let people with those vehicles know, hey, there's an open recall on your car. We'd love to help you out. Click here to schedule a time. And that's guaranteed income.
Yeah, recall alerts are a common use case that we run into, and it's a fantastic way to notify those people. We work with a lot of the service departments within dealerships as well, and it makes it very easy for them to go back and forth with the customer. The customer can schedule their day around those service calls and seasonal maintenance tips, payment reminders, a lot of different use cases, but just a good way to stay top of mind. Not be overbearing, not be too much on the customer, but let them know that we're here and we can work around, their schedule.
Sure. No, absolutely. And I'm sure this is probably a super easy question. Simple texting, you're finding out that with the companies you work with, not just in the auto dealer field, but other companies, the phone call to the customer as the means of follow-up is rapidly becoming the postcard or the letter of 30 years ago. It just doesn't work that much anymore.
Yeah, we're seeing that, even just something like leaving a voicemail, the chances of that being listened to and being responded to have dropped off significantly. I think in 2022, 70% of consumers opted in to receive text from businesses. So it's becoming the more widely accepted way of communication. I think for the first about decade, it had more of an informal attachment to it. Texting was more just for family and friends, but we've seen as the generations move that people prefer to communicate like this. Whether is from a customer service standpoint, whether it is just receiving information, or even on the sales and marketing side. It's something where we've seen much more of an advantage, and a lot of business owners plan to increase their SMS marketing budget moving forward.
Yeah, because you have to move to where the people are moving you. If dealerships weren't willing to move, everybody would still be buying little ads in the newspaper. And obviously the little ads in the newspaper didn't work because there's hardly newspapers anymore. And that's coming from somebody with a journalism degree. I like newspapers, but it's not there. They just don't work. Something that does work, and something I want to make sure we mention, our friends at Montway Auto Transport want to ask auto dealers, hey, do you know where your vehicles are and when they'll arrive? I know inventory management challenges dealers face, so I'm certain the answer is a resounding no. But Montway Auto Transportation can change your answer to a confident yes with the Montway Automation Portal, better known as MAP. MAP offers a smarter way to move and manage orders while giving you end-to-end visibility of all inbound and outbound units. You can upload VINs, get pricing, dispatch the orders, and track every unit on the dashboard. Leveraging MAP can save you time and money and get vehicles to your lots quicker to sell. With MAP, you can book, track, and manage your inventory from one revolutionary platform. See MAP in action at www.montway.com/WS go ahead and write it down. It's www.montway.com/WS and put your dealership on the map. Says they're moving on too. They have an online portal. You can track everything. You can measure it. That's just where it's going. And when you mentioned keywords, I understand that's the keyword that you're sending in. How much can you target the text messaging campaigns, and do you run into the same issues you do with email blast? Email blast were going to be the silver bullet. That was going to save dealerships because now you can email your message directly to all your customers. And of course, what happened is dealerships saw that. They saw it was virtually free, and they started doing an email blast every single day. And then it became a burnt out tool. And now you have the risk of getting your email blacklisted. You have people opt out. So your base gets way smaller each time. And it's still there. They still kind of work, but you can't do them often. Do you run into the same issue with text messaging? Do you have to be kind of targeted with how you're running campaigns and who you're trying to reach?
Yeah, you can run into the same issue. For us, once again, we want to set those expectations correctly, first off on the customer's end, and then working with the dealership, we're going to really hop on a strategy call, we call it, and kind of walk through the exact process of how we want to use texting. And the hope is to not send out those large blasts, although we do have custom fields and things that can, add names and personalize any of these group messages. What we want is these campaigns to be very focused. So let's say, somebody comes in, buys a new car. We start them on a campaign. They go through that maybe after 6 months here. If they have been responsive, if they are following up, we put them into another campaign that's more targeted for them. So it kind of comes down to the account setup process, really, and the strategy that the dealership decides to adopt once they implement texting. But it's always something where we want to talk through that entire process, and we want to stress that being more individualized, being targeted with these campaigns and with these keywords are going to help you get the most out of the texting platform. So given the ability to send group messages, some people might, like you alluded to, say, I've got a large list. Let's just blast out a text, and my emails and my calls aren't working. So let's give this a shot.
And let's just beat it into the ground, and we'll do them every single day, 1,000 a day, because, hey, we sold a car.
Yeah, and although your open rate's going to be a lot better because we're all conditioned to at least just open that text message and click on it. Ultimately, the results will not be if you use it that way. So the key is to really talk through from a strategy standpoint. Really we try to focus on customer loyalty when it comes to texting. Past the showroom, we want to let these customers know that they've got their attention all the way through the life cycle of their vehicle. So really targeting these text messages. We have keywords, we have autoresponders, we have campaigns and features that give you the ability to do so. So that comes down to the strategy that we work with the dealership and making sure that they're using it the correct way and getting the most ROI that they can from texting.
Yeah, and I think from a dealership perspective, if they're using SimpleTexting or if they're using the features that are built into their CRM, you want to look at the text message as basically it's a setup to your finish. Your finish is when you're going to get the person and you're going to close the deal, either set the service appointment or sell a car. But you need to get engaged. You need to get the person engaged, listening to you, active. So if you look at the text message as a way to set up the phone call as a way to set the appointment, I think that's a great way to take a look at it. You're not going to sell a lot of cars 100% over text messaging. You can do some, but if you can look at it as a tool to get people into your dealership, to produce the bodies, to get the people lined up in front of you, so you have a chance to close, I think that's where there's a great efficacy to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. As we mentioned, we want to essentially add this as a tool in your tool belt. Let's complement the existing forms of communication that the dealership's using. And let's allow this to set up that phone call, to get that foot in the door. Once again, advertising something like a keyword on the vehicle that's sitting out in the lot. Even somebody who's walking by has the ability to quickly text in that keyword. Now you've got a warm lead that you're able to convert through texting. So a lot of different ways to use it. And, with SimpleTexting, when we get into a dealership, it usually spreads within that dealership from sales to service to billing. Our portal allows all of the admins on the account to have oversight of all those departments, make sure it's being used correctly, and you can have people live within the account, and you can have specific teams have access to certain portions of the account.
And then can you set up QR codes and place them throughout the dealership to ask people to scan here to get connected?
Absolutely.
Just different ways to get people connected, so it's not a huge task to get somebody to opt in.
It absolutely is. Yeah. QR codes can be utilized. We'll see that complement the keywords a lot of time. You'll have the keyword up top, text vehicle into 55555. Below that, you've got the QR code as well. That opens up the website, which boom, right there has that click to text option that we mentioned. Right there without, a couple clicks, really, you're already texting the dealership.
Yeah, because if you just make it easy and you simplify things, that's where you're going to get more people connected. Because really, right now, everyone is busy. I was just talking with a dealership, and we were looking at how weekday sales have been staying consistent or even picking up some, but Saturday sales or Sunday sales in states where dealerships are open on Sunday have actually tapered off from pre-COVID times. And you take a look at people's schedules now with all the tournaments, all the sports and activities that families are involved in, and just how much people are working off schedules or untraditional schedules. It makes sense that you're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to try to get your sales in at different times of the week, and you have to go to where the people are. Like I said, if you weren't willing to change, you would still be doing little newspaper ads, and little newspaper ads definitely don't work. You would still be sending out big, huge direct mail postcards, which obviously doesn't work. And you got to be willing to move. You don't want to get associated with the people calling up all hours of the day, and then when somebody answers, "Hi, hey, I'm calling up about your car's extended warranty." That's not a good place to be.
We've all been there. Yeah. The beauty of texting as well, too, is if you are busy during the day, you get that message, chances are you're opening it probably within 5 minutes to take a look at it. But also, if you're not able to respond, you're stuck in a meeting, you're at the kids' game. When you do get a chance to respond to that text message is still there with all of the information that you need. So once again, even from like a service part standpoint, it's great for customers to have that in front of them, be able to relate back to previous information that's been in the text conversation, and address it, at their preference, when they have time to do so, instead of, where it's a voicemail. Okay, what do we discuss on that last call? What was my follow-up looking like? You've got all that there in the text message to relate back to.
Yeah, and from a management perspective at a dealership, be it sales or service, yeah, absolutely, you got everything time-stamped. So there isn't, oh, well, you said this, and the salesperson said this, and you can get a lot of, there's a reason why they call it the telephone game. You can get a lot of that. So the more something is in text, you have it time-stamped, you know exactly what was said, the better off you are. And then engage in that conversation when you have everything set up and you're ready to work on it.
Correct. We a lot of times have these dealerships put in what we call autoresponders for the initial text that comes in. So immediately that customer is getting a touch back, letting them know, that the message has been received, possibly with a call to action, next steps. And that gives even, let's say, the salesperson there a couple minutes to go ahead and draft up that message, the personal message that they're going to send back. But at the same time, we let the customer know they're top of mind. They've got the auto response, and they're expecting another message soon. So it's a fantastic way to go back and forth quickly and really keep that constant communication.
Now, how can dealerships reach out to you? How can they find out more about SimpleTexting?
So SimpleTexting.com, fantastic website. Under our resources page, we've got an auto dealership specific landing page. We've also got myself who specializes with dealerships. Spencer at simpletexting.net is my email. What we like to do is schedule a strategy call to start off. And really, that takes about 30 minutes. We'll talk through the workflow of the dealership, how they're currently reaching out to leads and customers, and talk about how we can implement texting with the team there. So those are the two best ways, via our website or reach out to my email personally. And we do offer a 2-week free trial. So it's a good way to get into the dashboard, be able to test the functionality, start building out some of these keywords and campaigns. So if it is something, that ultimately they move forward with, they've got the account ready to go, ready to add all those team members in there and move forward.
Well, and it's a great time too. You're heading into the regular selling season. Kind of
Absolutely.
parallels the baseball season. Opening days this week.
Tomorrow.
Car lots should get as many cars as they're going to have. I know it's a little bit different than the past, but it's as good as it's going to get for the year. So now's the time to dive in. Great.
It absolutely is. Yeah. Those online leads is just another avenue to be able to reach them. Getting a lead online is great, but really the holy grail of leads is getting somebody's cell phone number. So once you get that, like we said, don't abuse that. Let's talk through how we can target that very specifically and set the proper expectations for texting and have everyone from the sales team to the service team be able to hop in and live within that same account. So from an oversight perspective at the dealership, you've got the ability to see how each team is using it. We've got analytics within each account that'll allow you to see the response time from individual team members. We've got notifications. We've got situations where if a text is sitting there for X amount of time, you'll be notified of that. This does need to get a response. That's ultimately what we expect with text messaging is quick responses. So simple texting is, as the name says, extremely simple to use and implement. Once we talk through the workflow of it, your whole team has the ability to live within the same account. If they need to use different phone numbers for each team, you can do so. But all of the oversight and transparency will be within that account.
Oh, that's terrific. Hey, I want to get you the championship belt here, the Dealership Rescue Champion of the Week. So the main thing I wanted to ask you is, and I think I know the answer, what do you feel is the championship level way to follow up with customers now?
It's got to be text messaging. There's no doubt about it. I know I myself come from a generation where about halfway through my teenage years, text messaging became relevant. And ever since then, even my own family members know to text me instead of call me. So texting really is the communication, the preferred method. It's the way of the future, and we're happy to help bring these dealerships up to speed.
Yeah, and when you look at it, I mean, heck, 82% of all the emails sent from dealerships never get opened. So there's plenty of dealership groups. They spend hours going over the grammatical structure of their autoresponders. They have all sorts of graphics built into it, all sorts of backlinks, but it honestly doesn't matter if nobody ever opens it. What's really coming more and more clear over time is short, simple, quick emails that people see the subject when they glance at their homepage on their phone. Just glance at the screen and they see a quick message. If you can get your main message in within a sentence so somebody sees it in the preview on their phone, it doesn't matter if they never open it. They saw it anyways. But if you can text somebody and get back and forth, that's easily the best way to go.
Exactly. Yeah. Get a little call to action in that text, get them moving on to that next step, which, like you said, could be a phone call, could be setting up a meeting. We just want to help get people in the door and help even get passerbyers, get them more information. The ability to text in and quickly get that information and then be able to get more specific help afterwards is what
Yep.
text messaging can accomplish.
And hey, Spencer, do you have a favorite pro wrestler?
I'm not in tune with the wrestling industry now, but I will say back when I was into it. This is gonna date me here, but it would just have to be the Undertaker. I mean
No, that's great.
that was the go-to, the entrance that he made. Once I saw that, that was enough to make me a fan.
He's still doing well. He's going to do a one-man show in Las Vegas, working with one of the promotions that I do interviews for. So yeah, no, he's right up there. And coming up later this month on Wrestling with Sales, actually month of April, we're going to be joined by WWE Hall of Famer Medusa. She was a WWE Hall of Famer, champion under the name of Alundra Blaze, wrestled in WCW and in Japan. She's got a book out right now, The Woman Who Would Be King, so that'll be interesting. But Spencer, thanks a lot for coming on, talking about simple texting and getting into how dealerships can find a different way to reach out to people, because if you can't even get in front of the person, you have no chance to win. So definitely appreciate it. Check out SimpleTexting.com to find out a little bit more. And Spencer, thanks for stepping in the ring with us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Gerald.
Sure.
Take care.